Today's episode of Yogakane is brought to you by Northwest Yoga Feast, a yoga festival taking place this summer, July 19th through the 21st in Sagal, Idaho. This festival, or should I call it feastival, because Carrie Ann and her team of cooks, they throw it down in the kitchen, bringing you very tasty vegetarian meals, has been ranked by Yoga Journal as one of the top 11 yoga festivals in our region. I personally cannot wait for the feast this summer. I went last year and it inspired me to bring this podcast to life. Their lineup for teachers this year is incredible. Dreamtime Sound Healing will be there, offering 2 sound bowl healing experiences. Rob and Melissa from Seattle will be there, bringing you their beautiful sounds of kirtan. Cami Cote, a Reiki master from Missoula, Montana, who is on fire, will be offering some beautiful yoga classes. And many other awesome teachers from our region will be bringing you all of the yoga to fill up your heart's content. Tickets are still available for the feast. Click the link in the bio for details and visit their website, nwyogafeast.com. Hi yogis, it's May 2nd, 2019. Welcome to episode 10 of the Yogakane podcast. Age ain't nothing but a number. My name is Lauren, and thank you so much for listening. Before I go any further into this week's episode, I just want to say thank you to Lisa Les or Lisa Lise. I don't know who you are, but thank you so much for taking time to leave a review about the podcast. Your review captured the essence of what this podcast is all about. Steve Peck, are you out there? Are you listening? Steve, thank you so much for everything that you do for this podcast. You repost everything that I share on Facebook. You get the word out there about the podcast to your community. And now you're taking time to leave a review. You are just like the number one cheerleader for this podcast. So thank you so much. Quick side note, Steve and I go way back. We did our 200-hour training together at Harmony Yoga. So thank you so much, Steve, for sharing the love. If you're enjoying the podcast and if you like what you hear, pause this episode right now and please leave a review. It's a huge contribution to the podcast. Okay, episode 10, here we are. I couldn't imagine a better person to hold down the 10 spot other than the intuitive mentor numerologist herself, Joy McMahon. Okay, say something, Joy.
Okay, Joy is saying something.
Joy is a transformational teacher, a numerologist, motivational speaker, yoga instructor, stress management consultant, and author who lives in Spokane, Washington. In her 30s, Joy started teaching yoga.
Standing on my head, I was doing everything then.
Yeah.
And so I had a really bright pink leotard outfit.
Fun.
I mean, shocking pink. And so
Love it.
one of the neighbors came over one day and she said, "Will you show me?" And I did. And then the word kind of spread.
In her 60s, Joy became a certified yoga instructor.
I wanted to teach professionally.
Okay.
And I needed to.
Yeah.
Be certified to do that.
Mm-hmm.
And just to carry on. And then I got to work in schools, and when I would travel for the summer, I would work for like parks and recreation and teach yoga there. And so it was a fun thing.
In her late 60s and early 70s, Joy wrote 2 books about agelessness, which detail her self-proven methods of reversing the biological clock and slowing down the aging process year after year.
Don't forget that I'm in my 80s, so that's a long time ago.
Oh, okay, yeah. Oh, yeah. That's right. I keep forgetting that.
That's okay. Me too.
For the record, how old are you?
Oh, 85.
Okay.
Just turned 85. And I'm proud of it.
Amen.
What is that anyway? It's only an 8 and a 5.
Yeah. Which?
Power and change.
Yeah, I was just going to say power and change. Yeah. And infinity.
That's
Infinite.
right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Check out her book, Awaken to Agelessness, Your Cells Are Listening, on Amazon. In this episode, 2 worlds intersect. Joy talks about agelessness, but she also talks about numerology, which I found pretty interesting. I've always been a little shy of this world. I mean, I'll read my horoscope and everything, but I don't know if we have any Beyonce fans out there, but if you are a Beyonce fan or not, but you've seen the movie Carmen. Carmen was a movie she did in the early 2000s. I'm going to give you a spoiler alert. So if you want to watch that movie, fast forward like 5 seconds. Okay. So in that movie, Beyonce gets her palm read and it predicts her death. So since I watched that movie, I was like, 10 or 11, I just sort of got freaked out. I thought that, I would have like my numbers read or have my palm read or astrology or whatever, and it would just predict my death. So anyways, many moons later, here I am getting my numbers read. So if you're like me and you're a little reluctant about numerology, I totally feel you. Joy talks about numerology and how it intersects with yoga, life, and your relationships. She even gives you a glimpse into the numbers and astrological signs of President Donald Trump. Later on in this episode, Joy begins to go into agelessness, how she practices it at home, and how it's never too late to start reversing your biological clock. I had just so much fun talking to Joy. She is lighthearted, sharp, very authentic, and wise. Okay, who is ready for episode 10? Please enjoy.
Mama, he turned to me and said, won't you be mine, 789?
In a very brief summary, could you explain your upbringing?
Oh, my upbringing.
Yeah.
Was by traditional parents.
Okay.
My father was from a very traditional family that was very mainstream religious. My mother came from parents that were different. My grandfather, her father, was a psychic.
Oh.
And my grandmother was very intuitive. And so when I was a child, my grandfather died the year before I was born. I never met him. When I was a child, my grandmother would take me by the hand in Taft, and we would walk around the flower garden, and she taught me about reincarnation. She said, you see those flowers? They're going to die in the winter. Remember how that happens? And then they come back in the spring as brand new, beautiful blooms again. And that's how life is. And so when we die, that doesn't mean we're dead. We always have life.
Yeah. Wow.
So that was the difference. And my other grandma wanted me to go to church and not think about that. But my parents came together in a cohesive unit, I think, of balance. And I have to tell you, my father became more like my mother, but not mother's side, but not totally. So I had that background, kind of a balance, but I related more to my mother's side of the family. And I think I get a lot of my intuition from my deceased grandfather, who was a psychic.
Yeah, I think so too. Like maybe he is everyone's a part of us, like from our ancestors.
Yes, the DNA.
I believe that.
ancestors.
Yeah, and he's clearly a big part of you, and his death maybe was a big part of your birth.
Even before I got here.
Oh yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
One of the big reasons why I wanted to talk with you is because you, at 85, you retired from teaching yoga, and I was a part of that class at Rockwood Lane, and it was such a delight to see you teaching. And so after I saw that class, I just wanted to immediately start talking to you, because I'm like, this lady has a story and I want to just know what is her life. So how was it? How was it teaching your last class? How are you?
You mean the 7 years over there?
Yeah.
Or what?
Yeah, you're 7 years.
Or
you're 7 years.
My 7 years
at Rockwood
Lane.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I started them out on the mat.
That's what they said. Martha told me that.
Yeah. And then everyone seemed to get older physically, and I was watching what they could do, or they were kind of struggling getting up and down, and I would show them how to get up safely from the mat, or if they should be on the floor and how to get up. But I could see like it was becoming a little stressful for some of them to continue mat and more standing yoga. So I devised chair yoga. So having a background in yoga for many years, ever since I was 30, because I started teaching the neighborhood women when I was 30, before I was even certified in the 1990s. And so I thought, oh, there's got to be some information out there on chair yoga online. So I got on the computer, and my gosh, yes. So I just looked at the different positions and learned from that, and then I applied it to the group I was teaching over at Rockwood and made it so it would fit their needs.
Yeah.
They would even modify the chair yoga.
Cool.
And so that was just fun to do, and of course most of them are my age level, so it was fun senior teaching seniors yoga, and that was just really nice.
I know, you guys had such a relationship, it seemed like.
Oh, we did.
Yeah.
And some deeper than others that had been with me longer.
Yeah. You know, you're going to laugh at this.
What?
So my first class with them was last week. And so I show up there, you know, meeting everybody, and we get in our group, and one of the students looks at me and they say, I just want you to know that just because we're here, you don't have to treat us like we're wallflowers. They're like, we want to move, we want to like be challenged, and I was just like, challenge accepted.
That is wonderful.
Isn't that awesome? Yeah,
yes.
I loved how they told me like what they wanted. And it made it so much better for me to know where they want to go.
Yes.
Because a lot of them want to stay strong, develop their strength.
Yes.
Learn techniques on how to get up or continue the life they're living.
Yes.
And so just knowing that, we got moving, and we connecting breath to movement, and it was one of the funnest classes I've ever taught.
I'm so glad, because they're open, aren't they?
They're so open. Yeah.
I know, and they were so cute because they said, oh no one can ever fill your shoes. And I said, just a minute. Guess what? They'll have new ideas. It can be better. Oh no! But see, oh yes.
Yeah, it's cool. I'm really excited to start getting in the groove with them.
You're going to love it.
Yeah.
They are real sweet people.
It's cool. I love how you use the resistance bands in class to get strength, to increase the strengthening
and warm up.
And warm up, yeah. Do you still teach yoga then? No. Okay, that was
That was it. I've been doing it ever since I was 30 years old. So. Off and on.
Okay.
And so I really have had to stop right now for myself because of my arm. Because when your whole arm area is involved in your shoulder, it kind of puts a damper on your yoga stretching and getting up and down. So I'm waiting for this to heal, and then I'm back to it.
How are you feeling not teaching anymore?
Oh, I feel fine about that.
Cool.
Right.
Yeah, it was time.
It was time.
Yeah, how did you know it was time?
I just felt it because I was starting to lose a little interest in teaching.
Interesting.
And so when you start to feel that happen, it means it's time for you to shift and go into something else in your life at that time.
Cool.
Even when you're 85.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I can't wait to see what you have up your sleeves. Yeah.
That.
Okay.
You know what I really want to do is to get my videos and my readings on YouTube. That is what the direction I really want to go in.
The videos that you do on Facebook.
Videos. I want to even deeper than that. So because this is just like world events, so I want to be able to even help people with certain sun signs or where they are in their path, to give them ideas, and also have them connect with me so that I can do one-on-one personal reading. I love to do that. So if you love to do something, that you just go do it, right?
Right. Well, I mean, you make that sound very easy.
Well, I think there's somebody that might teach me how to do that.
Yeah. Well, no, I mean, like what you said, like if you love something, then go out and do it.
Go do it.
Like that's easier said than done.
Well, look at all these interesting things for my portfolio. I got an idea and I just did it, and it worked. I just love it because that goes with my spiritual mentoring, that I already do. And then just putting more of it out there, and it hasn't taken its complete form yet because I haven't run with it completely yet. It's kind of in my mind what I want to do.
I hear that. Yeah, it's just kind of putting it down on paper and making it happen. What does yoga mean to you?
Yoga has meant to me over these years an awareness of my body itself, being really tuned into it. So if it needs some help, I know how to help it, whether it's diet or mentally or exercise or walking or whatever, because yoga does that for you. It brings you into body awareness, don't you think?
Yeah, I do. I floated this question out to you through social media this last week about what yoga means to you. And Renee, who will be my guest for episode 12, where we talk about trauma, domestic violence, and yoga, shared what yoga means to her. Yoga is the union between the known and the unknown, the dark and the light, awareness of what is. Thank you so much, Renee, for sharing. You can find Renee teaching at Mellow Monkey in Spokane or at Hayden Yoga and Massage. Follow her on Instagram at Essential Low Score Flow Low Score Yoga. Okay, let's get back to Joy.
And it brings you into more of a conscious awareness of the body-mind connection and the soul essence of your being. Because when you really are working with the breath, the pranayama, and knowing that your movement and your sacred feeling about all of it, you are really working with the sacred energy of your body, like the chakras, right? And the chakras and the glands are connected. Did you know that?
They're connected?
Yes.
Yeah. But we should explain that a little bit more for our audience.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Well, the spiritual wheels, the 7 wheels, we have the 7 glands in the body. And they work together. And then from the glands, it works into organs in your body. And then it goes in further into the cellular level, up right down to your blood. And so you're energizing and synthesizing your entire being, bringing it into more harmony.
Yeah.
And that's the deeper part of yoga. Then all these other little avenues of exploration spring from that. Oh, numerology, oh, astrology, oh, spiritual energy. I want to learn more about that. And so you just kind of take off into an encompassing direction of wholeness.
Yeah.
An integration of the universe with you.
Oh, amen. I love that.
And you know that.
Yeah, I do. And it's, I couldn't have said it any better. You made it sound like an orchestra.
Oh, well, thank you.
It's like an orchestra kind of starts playing, and all, when you first start doing yoga, it's kind of like all of the cellular parts of us on a bigger level, like the organs, the glands, even our skin. It's like starting to tune. All the instruments are starting to tune. And then the more that you deepen in the asana practice, the physical practice of yoga, it's like the instruments start to kind of build a rhythm. They start to connect. And then you might hit something, and then, something sounds out of tune. But the more that you practice yoga, and then you start to go into the deeper energy levels, like with the chakras. I loved how you said spiritual energy levels. That's so cool. Into that, it's like your body starts to, find that harmonious tone. And you just kind of start to, things outside of the body and things inside the body, you can begin to see with a lot more clarity and kindness.
Yes, because you start to live more from your soul essence.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
your heart essence,
Yeah, and your authentic self.
your authentic self.
Yeah, because you're not fighting that anymore. You're just like
No.
loving it.
That's right.
Yeah, and it's sacred to you, and you also can see that in others, even if they can't see it in themselves.
Absolutely.
You know,
Because we are truly our souls, aren't we?
yeah,
In this body. And so we are already the soul essence. It's not out there somewhere.
Yeah.
We are it. And so when we connect with the it of self, we live a more aware, bigger life.
Yeah,
And then we go forward out and we want to help uplift life. Don't you feel? You want everyone to be happy. Take care of yourself, take care of each other, take care of the world.
yeah, I do. I have been noticing that, and it for me, it hasn't so much been like what we talked about when you did my numerology, is that it isn't so much of like wanting to force people to do it, because through the practice of yoga, I've begun to notice that I can only change myself. If I'm going through a dark time, my yoga teacher isn't going to help me with that. Not even, like my husband or a priest or anyone can help me with that. Like it's only me that can kind of choose to take those steps out of the darkness. And granted, I have loving support, but if you're like feeling like crap, nothing's going to change that, so it's starting with yourself. And
That's right.
And so kind of bringing that into the practice of yoga, I've really begun to notice that other people have to find that. So it will just take time and loving kindness to give that to people, to give them time to get there.
That's right.
Because it's not, and everyone has their own way of yoga.
That's right.
Like there's all different forms of yoga. It can look like going on a hike, or it can look like doing their own kind of practice. Maybe it's like some kind of martial art work, or
Right.
Whatever it is. So from being connected to that true authentic part of yourself, other things kind of start to emerge. And for
Yes.
you, what emerged for you? A numerology and
Yes, numerology and the interest in astrology. I'm not an astrologer, but I studied it. But I can't call myself an astrologer. I just really understand it. And I understand that our life is basically through numerology and astrology, because everything is vibration, numbers are vibration, everything is energy. So that means our life is only vibratory energy, actually. And we had created, I feel, a blueprint of our life pattern before we were even born. And that is how we can create a chart from a person and tell them the intricate, deep things about themselves, and even give a little guideline as to what is the future.
could you explain what a blueprint?
A blueprint would be like a chart, a pattern, a design of energy that has meaning of being expressed on this earth plane.
And how is that defined before we're born?
I think that as souls we decide what kind of life we want to live, to evolve our soul level. I believe in reincarnation. And so maybe at some life I really felt like I failed in different areas of my life. And I want to provide myself with some lessons this time that may not be easy, to see how I work with them and how I overcome them.
Oh, okay.
See?
Yeah.
And then maybe I really don't need to learn very much in this life. I just need to come back and do some refinement. So my life is going to be pretty easy. So we all have choices. That's what numerologists and astrologers feel, that we create our own life before we get here.
Wow.
So we always have choice, the light or the shadow. So you can take a number, for instance, a 1.
Mm-hmm.
So if you have a very prominent 1 as an individual, you can take that 1 and you can be extremely self-sufficient. You can be a leader and someone who really wants to be a way shower and a pioneer. And the 1 person does that. So this same 1 person could do this with a whole lot of ego, right?
Yeah, I could see that. That's usually how it's portrayed.
Oh yeah, a whole lot of ego. It's all about me, and I'm going to do all this stuff. And as I'm going through being the leader, I'm really not caring about you.
Yeah.
It's where is this taking me? What grandeur will come to me through this?
I wonder what Donald Trump's
that's what I'm
charts are
thinking.
saying.
Oh, he has Leo rising, and he's a Gemini. He's got Mars and Aries, and that makes him. But anyway, he's misusing his energy. This man could have been a total different person, a leader, a way shower, a loving person. Leo's heart. He took the ego. But we all have choices, right? This is what I'm trying to say. So the same leader can come and they can lead and they can make breakthroughs and they can be a pioneer. But it's not all about them. It's like helping others in this climb of leadership.
Yeah, so it's more of a collective.
Yeah,
they're using their gifts to collectively just uplift everybody.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's the difference. So you have a planet in your chart. Too, going to numerology, that would be like an Aries person too. You know, the leader. I'm out in front.
Okay.
And Aries can be very much in the dynamics of the negative that I just spoke about, or the dynamics of the more positive aspect of that one. So you see, we have all these energies that are set. But we get to choose how we work with the energy. That's the choice.
Yeah. You know, what I really liked about you reading my numbers to me was that it made me more lovingly accepting of some of my stronger attributes, which can be seen as powerful as a leader. And sometimes as a woman, being powerful and a leader, especially because I was raised in the early 90s, that can sometimes be seen as like, oh, you're being bossy.
Right.
Or you're, like, what do you know? But over time, I never really listened to that, but that wears on you over time.
Sure it does.
And so, but after having you read those to me, it just kind of reaffirmed to me like that those traits that are more stronger in nature are not like always necessarily a negative. Like those are very powerful, loving things. It just depends on how, like you said, how you use it,
how you project it out.
Yeah, and just after our chat before this, like it really made me just like fall in love with myself again.
That's like, what it's supposed to do.
Yeah, it was really, really a nice like comfort. Like when you do read people's numbers, you said you do it for business partners. Could you explain that a little bit?
Business partners, because certain numbers are compatible with another number.
Yeah.
And certain aren't. They're challenging. So, if you have a challenging number as a person, then you have the opportunity to learn how to work with that challenge. Or you can just totally walk away.
Yeah.
There's your choice.
Yeah.
See, how can I work with this challenging person so that we can build some harmony? And sometimes it is so challenging that you choose to disintegrate that relationship, to let it go.
Yeah.
I mean, that's okay too.
Yeah, it is. You don't have to fight everything.
You don't have to fight everything. If it's too hard, you don't have to do it if you've given it your all and you see it just can't work.
You know what I liked what you said though, and I just is like it's when you do decide to go into a partnership, business, friendship, loving relationship, you know, you are with someone who is different than you.
Yes.
And what I liked about what you said is like you can learn what they need to work with them.
That's
you know,
right.
and it's kind of a matter of how do you want to approach it? Like, are you open to learning? Are you open to readjusting your approach with somebody?
That's exactly
and that's
it.
just all about like kind of, to me, like being in a community. You know, everyone's different, so we do like there's some social norms that work, but there are some things that you do have to adjust your approach with people so your message can get across, and like then you can receive their message not from a place of threat, but you can kind of actually hear them.
Well, you know,
Yeah.
I do have someone that I just did a reading for, and she and her husband have a hard time coming together about understanding what the other needs. So
I get that.
So I suggested, since you're speaking different languages verbally and you can't seem to break through that and for a real understanding on something or many things, what about trying to write it down? Each person, this is what I need, or this is what I'm trying to say.
Oh, nice.
You write it down, and then you get to see it and read it, both of you.
Yeah.
And then sometimes being able to see it and feel it through another way of communication can make the breakthrough. And it really has with these people. It's helped tremendously. And they couldn't believe it because it took a while for the husband, blah, blah, blah. No, let's try this so we can see what we can accomplish together. And
how exciting.
It's working.
That's so cool.
But see, they don't have to keep up the writing out all the time because now they're really hearing each other through seeing in the written word.
Yeah. And also, so if there is trauma, or maybe not trauma is the right word, but if there's some kind of like negative connotation with the tone of a voice,
That's right.
you can hear something, even if you're like, hey, why didn't you grab any milk today? That could sound totally different, but if you write it down, hey, you know, why didn't you grab any milk today? If you read that and hearing it, there's a totally different
That's right. You're very
way of
perceptive.
delivery.
You're very perceptive to figure that out because that is a lot of it.
Yeah, I know. I get it. I know. How does numerology, how does it, though, connect to yoga?
Because don't you feel when you get deeper into the yoga practice, we were talking about all levels of being, getting into understanding yourself deeper into your blueprint continues healing at a deeper level. All about you. Oh my gosh, just like you fell in love with yourself better through the numbers. Oh, I understand that. So again, it's putting it on paper and talking about it.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I see.
So then you can grow through understanding yourself through numerology from the date of your birth down to your first name, which is your identity, to your middle name, which is more soul if you have it, or even a letter, and to the inherited qualities, which is your maiden name or your surname. Then because then now we've got the whole picture of us together, all these different vibrations, and we understand ourselves at a deeper level. Numbers and letters and all of life, if you study quantum physics at all, is only vibration. It shifts the vibration. We emit vibrations. We are vibrations. We're frequencies.
Mm-hmm.
So we can take it and either add to a more harmonious frequency, or we can delete that frequency and it becomes a challenge.
Oh. So you also said that you're a mentor and you guide people through like life challenges.
Right.
Could you kind of explain, and you kind of touched on that a little bit more, but could you explain that a bit more of like what you do in that capacity?
Well, mentoring is kind of hard to go into the details because it is like the life coach. Somebody
Okay.
comes with a major problem.
Mm-hmm.
And so very often I will let them give themselves the answer
Oh, okay.
by asking questions about putting them in the other person's shoes. And then there's the questioning. And then they begin to see how that relationship is affecting them and the other person, because when you ask a question, you get to be the mentor to yourself. Do you understand?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I do.
So, okay, so you have this certain scenario going on. So, what would you suggest to Lauren? What would you suggest to Lauren how she handles this? This is you talking to you. That's the greatest healer. And then as the mentor, I can guide that person.
Hold like a safe space for
A
them to
safe
go through
space
it.
to go through.
Yeah.
But we all have our own answer.
Yeah. Everything that we seek is within us.
Yes, and we can
Yeah.
answer ourselves in counseling and anything. The answer is always there.
That's so. It really is, isn't it?
Yeah, it
is. It just sometimes we forget that, you know.
I know.
Yeah, it's so easy to forget. You wrote 2 books.
Mm-hmm.
Did you write more or just?
No, just the
Just
2. The
two.
first one was Ageless at 75.
Okay.
And a lot of this came from that, but revised.
Mm-hmm. Awaken to agelessness.
Because I wanted people to understand that their cells, see down at the bottom it says,
your cells are listening.
your cells are listening.
Yeah.
So whatever information we feed to ourselves is going down at cellular level. So I can stand in front of the mirror and I can say, wow, you look great. Wow, you look so young, and you're getting younger and younger every day and every way. Look at you. You're amazing. Mwah, 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 mwah. And it works. And then, because you're looking at yourself in the eyes and you're giving yourself positive, and sometimes in the morning, no makeup and
Yeah.
and maybe I had wine or something the night before, the full moon is there, and I just don't like my face in the morning, and I'll go stand in front of the mirror. Good morning, sweetheart. How are you today? Oh, we're going to have a great day. Looking yourself in the eyes is like you're looking at a person telling them, right?
I know. Why
And
do
they
we
believe it.
Why do we talk so good to other people, but it's hard for us to talk good to
And
ourselves?
this stuff works because
Yeah.
you're looking yourself in the eye, but you have to mean it.
Mm-hmm. Does it start off not always meaning it, maybe, if you have some kind of, if you're going through a tough time? You know, because sometimes you might just look at yourself and you might not always love what you're seeing.
Well, then just love what's there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Doesn't have to be perfect. It certainly never is in the morning when I get up.
So you do this every day? Your mirror
No,
talk.
I don't do it every day. I have gone through times
Mm-hmm.
of telling myself that every day.
Yeah. And what were those times like?
Those times when I really believe that self-talk makes you ageless because my cells are listening.
You said right here, I felt and knew that my inner self was an integral part of the divine creator, for I am his child. I personally saw God the creator as a vibrating field of pure divine loving intelligence with infinite possibilities.
That's right. That's right. We're
And-
all of that.
Yeah, we are. I love how nice you are to yourself.
Oh, thank you.
Joy,
It took years
yeah.
to get there.
It's
It really did. You know, I think I really started
when did this start for you, like embracing aging?
embracing aging,
Mhm.
looking at that. My feelings about aging are different than other people's.
Mhm.
But at the same time, I realize I am aging chronologically.
Mhm.
And that is okay because that is the direction life goes on this planet,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Everything eventually withers and dies.
Mhm.
And I know that's going to be happening with me too. But at the same time, in the aging process, there's something in me that I don't identify with old. I don't know what old is, to tell you the truth. I don't know.
How do you know you don't know?
Because I have friends that are your age, and my oldest friend I think is 69, and I once said, "Well, why is it that you like? Why am I in your group, or why are you my friend?" I said, "I'm just kind of interested because I'm so much older than you are," and the reply is, "We never think of your age because you aren't old," and that is the truth.
Yeah, that is. I mean, we could hang out sometime too.
Yeah, we could. See,
Yeah.
this is the way it is
Mhm.
because this is the agelessness I'm talking about.
Mhm.
See, you can be aging, but you can still be ageless.
Yeah.
Because going back, I don't know what it is to be old.
You know, when do you think that when did you start to begin to think about this? Was this like in your 40s or 30s or 20s, or has this always just kind of been
When I was a
you?
child,
Yeah.
I said to myself, I'm never going to be old like my grandma. So, probably around 5, 6, 7, I determined that I'm not going to be old like my grandma. I'm not going to be old. So, making a statement as a child could have actually been a forerunner of a prediction for myself when I'm in my 80s.
Yeah.
See?
Uh-huh. Yeah.
So, and I look back at that, and I was determined. I could feel the real determination.
Like that boiling up under your
yeah,
skin.
it's like the stubbornness.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not going to be old.
That's awesome. Yeah, not going to be old, but still age, but not let myself, like, not let your inner self get old.
No,
Like your
not let my
mind, your
inner
spirit,
self.
your spirit.
That's right. That's what
Yeah.
it is. And then when you're that way, your body doesn't age as fast either.
But reading your book really affirmed to me that, like, speaking, about dreams and visions and having an inner dialogue of self-love and, like, positivity is good, not just for, like, younger people, but for all generations.
That's right.
Because it kind of fuels the inner spirit. And so what kind of stuff do you say with yourself to kind of, because I bet all the time are you like this, or do you sometimes have moments where you're like
I
get
have
defeated?
fearful times.
You do?
Just like anybody.
Yeah.
Or I feel kind of down.
Yeah.
And so just what I have learned to do, though, is to be in that awareness of my state at the moment.
Okay.
And let that be okay.
Yeah.
Just go with it. And there may be days where I really don't want to do much of anything because I don't feel like it. So I honor that feeling in me without chastising myself for it. Because I know it is just a little cycle I'm going through.
Yeah.
Okay. So about the fear part, I needed to go to the chiropractor, which I'm doing right now, because I pulled a tendon and pulled my arm out. And so And he has an office that's way deep in the valley, and the traffic has become, as far as I'm concerned, horrendous the last few years.
Mm-hmm.
And so I got a little scared about going on busy times, when my appointment is, and driving through all that traffic and having to find his new office, and because I'm not that familiar with the valley, actually. And I got a little scared about it, and I said, "What is the matter with you? You're thinking like an old lady." Seriously.
Yeah.
So I gave myself a really good talking to, just
That
like I'm
sounds like
talking
it.
to this old lady. And what is the matter with you? You can't go there because that's defeating. That's age.
Yeah, you talk about that. Like, so in the book, you say that what you feed, it grows.
Yes.
Let
Where
me
you
find
place
it.
your attention, that's where your what's going to be happening more, because it's going to expand that feeling
Yeah.
or thought.
Yeah.
So I nipped myself in the bud as
Mm-hmm.
soon as I realized where I was going with my mind and my emotions
Mm-hmm.
and my fear. And so then, after giving myself a strong talking to, which I had to, I ended up doing just fine. So I'm going back and forth, fine now
Yeah.
in the traffic.
Mm-hmm. Some people might call that, though, like nipping it in the bud, or not listening to that, like neglecting or avoiding, thoughts. Is that, what do you say to that?
You can't avoid your thoughts, and because that's what is causing your aging. Deal with your thoughts even though they're scary. Your thoughts become feelings and emotions and actualities.
Mm-hmm.
And so you don't want this to become a full-blown actuality. And it will be, which could be a negative thing, when you're not willing and brave enough to face it in the face.
Yeah. So I just talked to, so there's a holistic co-op that just opened in Spokane called the Lotus.
Oh.
And I interviewed the co-owners, Sam and Aaron, and they're two friends. And we talked about the unbecoming that's happening in society, and which is happening within a lot of people, where stuff is becoming unearthed. And you're seeing stuff that you just don't want to face almost, or it's like really hard to look at, because if you look at it, you're going to see that nasty thing, or you're going to see that thing that has to change.
Right.
So what we talked about in the episode, and what they shared with me, is like, you actually, when you look at something and face on, it's actually not as bad as it seems.
No, it's not.
And when you look at it, you're just like, okay, like, yeah, that's not that bad. And then you look at it, you love it, and then it just becomes a part of your maturing, your growth as a human, and ultimately your own inner self-awareness.
That's right.
Because the more that we just let that thing that seems horrible or terrible, or that fear
Or
kind of
scary.
or scary, or that fear like kind of grow and dwell and like turn into this big monster, you look at it and it's actually just like a little child. You just kind of are like, oh, you're not that bad.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah. Oh,
That's perfect.
yeah, that's so
I like
cool.
that.
Yeah. Well,
To really get in touch with my real essence and accept myself, and to feel more loving to me and to everyone, when I got into my mid-70s.
oh wow. What took you so long?
I was a slow learner. And just think, 7 is a spiritual number.
Oh yeah, we talked. Yeah, that's right. It is.
It also has to do on the other side with fear. 7 is about fear, one side, and the other side is the spiritual essence of that number that overcomes that negativity. So as you go through your 70s,
Mm-hmm.
Good. That is a very spiritual integrating time. And then when you get into your 80s, you've got the power.
So 70s could be spiritual, but with, you said there's also the duality. It could also be fearful.
Yes, and taking care of that.
Yeah.
And your 80s is where you really can come into your power. And because you've done your work all through every facet of your life from the time you were a baby, it's all a reincarnation time from one level of age to the next. I mean, I don't look like that baby now, but I'm still that baby.
Yeah.
See, I mean, that soul essence in that baby has been growing and learning all through these years to the point where I can really feel whole now.
Does like every kind of decade have its own thing?
Mm-hmm.
Could you go through that?
In the 60s, that has a lot to do with healing and teaching. It could be for the self or with others.
And what's the 50s?
And it's also learning to open the heart more because it's about love.
Oh.
And questioning yourself about love.
Interesting.
The 50s is where you love freedom and you don't have all your wisdom yet, but you're kind of thinking that you might have some.
Yeah, you got this far.
Let's go have fun, 50 says. I want to travel. I want to spread my wings.
Yeah.
Because I'm more integrated now.
Right.
40s would be working with foundational levels. That's at work. That's your home. That's your family. It's your kids. Foundations is 40s. Really getting secure.
Okay.
Because that's when you really start to think about that. 30s is your creative instincts become very much alive. And you're trying to see how everything kind of fits together, the mind, the body, the soul.
Good time to start yoga for you 30s out there.
Yes. Oh, that's right. And that's when I did it.
Yeah.
And look
and
at
me
you.
Too.
Aha.
Light bulb.
20s is trying to get a handle on everything and about balance and about relationships, and you're just not sure if you're into that, or if you are, you're not quite sure how to make it happen and balance.
Because two's balance.
Yeah. And others.
Mm-hmm.
Relationships. And so we're learning a lot about ourselves and others then. So then the other years from 1 up through 19, that's really just sort of getting used to being on this earth and trying to figure yourself out. Can you see how that works? And 90s, it comes into the culmination of everything, a total integration. I don't give a darn, this is who I am, and everything is wonderful as I am. Right?
Something to look forward to.
And then if you get to be 100, wow, you've integrated everything back to the one, and you've added some zeros. Does that make life kind of interesting?
Yeah, it really does. And it just kind of, it gives me good insight because it helps you to prepare a little bit more for the bigger picture.
Yeah.
So that what you're working on now, it really makes sense because what you have coming after that, like the 40s, creatively in the 30s, what you're working on is going to kind of, I'm thinking from more of like, I'm thinking about like the root chakra, like grounding stuff. You are starting to find what you love, find your rhythm, find ways to make an income with like stuff that you actually like, that you care about, your passions, hopefully, and then
becomes more solid,
and then
you feel more earthbound, grounded. And then
the 40s, you can kind of start to build off of that even more on a harder level. Yeah. It makes sense because, it just kind of helps to prepare. Right,
and 33 is sort of a crucifixion time for yourself.
What does that mean?
33, that becomes the 6. 3 and 3.
Okay.
And that is, in the Bible, there was a crucifixion of Christ when he was 33. And so at 33, you can go through a real spiritual transformation. And some people, if it's in their chart, they go through a growth period that is rough. So, and I'm not saying everyone, but there's something that happens spiritually to everyone on some level at 33.
What if you don't listen to this, like this stuff?
Okay, you'll figure it out later.
Yeah. Okay. Going back into talking about your Agelessness book and about the Transformational Mirror Talk, which is, I did it, the Transformational Mirror Talk, and I was doing it and I was into it, but then I started looking at myself and I'm like, I was really focusing on one eye, and then I would look in the other eye, and then I kind of started getting like cross-eyed, and I was like, oh my gosh, I know. So I need to start doing that more, because I'll do Transformational Mirror Talk just in my own head in the morning, because sometimes I'll wake up and I just feel like,
you can do that.
Yeah, and that's what I've been doing a lot more of, because I wake up and then my to-do list just like floods my mind. But instead, I just like take a big breath and release, and I start to think about everything I'm like grateful for.
That's the perfect thing to do.
It helps, and when I don't do it, Joy, I notice a huge difference in my day. Like you do too.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, and my day is just like groggier, it's harder, I'm not as motivated. I can get motivated if I take that if I take a conscious time during the day to reset.
And that's exactly what it is. And when you're looking in the mirror, I like that mirror talk, because you're actually looking in your eyes, which are the windows to the soul.
Yeah, they are.
That's the way I look at it.
So cool. Okay. Other really cool thing from your book was the acupressure. So acupressure is something that you brought to
the state of Washington,
to the state
out
of
of
Washington.
California.
Yes.
California's always 10 years ahead, or was then.
Do you think it still is now?
I don't know.
I don't know either.
I don't think so.
Yeah.
I think everybody's kind of catching up. But back then, it was like, this was an oddity. In fact, when I called to be certified at Olympia, they didn't even know what an acupuncturist was. And I said, well, how can I get a license? And this was telephone, when you could still use the telephone. And I'll remember she said, I'm going to talk to my supervisor and I'll call you back within the hour. Okay, she called me back within the hour. I love these good old days in the 80s still.
Wrote your number down.
And she said, we don't know what to do with you, because we don't have an acupuncturist or acupressurist in this state yet. We have nothing. So what we're going to do is put you on a massage therapy, and we can certify you for that. But I said, I am not a masseuse. She said, that's all right. That's what we're going to do, because we don't know what else to do with you. So, and they evidently had found out somehow before they got back that there was acupuncture and acupressure everywhere in many states, but not here yet. So they put me under a massage therapist, and she said, and by the way, someone from the state, and you will never know, will be coming in as a patient, and we will be learning a lot about you.
Oh. And did they?
I'm sure.
Yeah. You still stuck around with it, though.
I stuck around with it.
I guess they liked it.
I guess so.
Yeah. So could you explain what acupressure is?
Acupressure is using your fingers to get on a specific point, electrical point, on a meridian or a pathway. And we have grids of meridians that run from our feet all the way up to the top of our head, or all the way from the top of our head all the way through down to the feet. And that's why reflexology on the feet works too, because everything is connected, and that's why you can do acupressure facelift, because you're working with those energy points that when pressed send electrical charges into every gland, organ of the body down to cellular level. And acupuncture does the same thing. The body's energy, the life force, is being released, and it knows where to go.
And if for all you listeners out there, so in Joy's book, the Awaken to Agelessness, Your Cells Are Listening, she has, oh my gosh, how many steps? She has 12 acupoint steps, and she takes you through it, and you can do this to yourself at home. It's natural acupoint facelift, and definitely recommend you check it out. You can find this on Amazon, and my husband and I do it, and we do it. Well, Joy suggests doing it at night because it does
relax the body.
It's so relaxing. Like, my husband did it, and he was telling me how much more like his neck felt relaxed, his body. The next morning when we woke up, we were talking about it, and he noticed a huge difference in his sleep quality.
Yes.
So
it relaxes the body and rejuvenates it.
Yeah, which is that's what sleep's for.
I know.
So you're like adding on.
That's right.
So cool. I love this. Okay. So what? I'm just reading this. What do you say? Oh my God, what was my question 11? You said jumping to 11. No, people have to want to take yoga classes. If a person is not ready, a waste of time.
That's right. You have to want to take yoga. You have to love yourself enough to do anything. And if they're not ready for yoga, maybe they want to do some other exercise. Maybe they just want to walk. Maybe they want to do Tai Chi. Maybe they don't want to do anything.
Yeah. So funny. I never got a response for that, but everyone's like, oh, well, do this. You're like, no, they're not ready. It's a waste of time. I kind of skimmed over that because I thought maybe
if a horse doesn't want to drink and you take him to water, right? He's not going to drink. You know that old fashioned.
I do.
Okay.
I know that saying. Okay, actually, one quick question. Is it just me, or is like the moon cycle and talking about the moon, is that kind of like starting to become more popular?
Well, yes, it's been popular for eons of time. And just more people are waking up to the fact that there's more emergencies in hospitals, more babies are born, there's more people get hurt, they're brought to the hospital. People sometimes go off on others because they can't control their emotions. The universe is one with us, because here we are about the signs in the sky. The moon is we're very much in tune with every universal planetary aspect, and particularly the sun and the moon. And so we need to remember that we are all a part of the star essence of this entire universe. We are all a part of each other. We are one, and that is the huge, as far as I'm concerned, and many, that is a huge lesson for us to be learning right now as a world consciousness. Why are we fighting and taking away from each other when we could be coming together as one and making life wonderful and joyous and bountiful for each other? And that is our lesson. We have to get there.
Yeah. Do you think we're getting there?
A lot of people are, and then there's a lot that aren't.
I mean, isn't it always like that, though? Isn't there always going to be...
No, I think that this is just my idea. And many spiritual people, many astrologers, many numerologists, many psychics feel that we have come to a certain point of evolution now where the old structures and the old ways of eons and eons and eons and eons of time are falling away. So the barbaric consciousness that we were born and integrated with is going to start shifting and changing, where we're coming more into the spiritual realization of who we are. And that we're just now coming in to climbing that mountain together, one little foot on a rung of the ladder, and then the next foot goes on the next rung, and we're climbing into a higher evolutionary state, slowly together. It's wake up time. That's what I really feel, and I'm watching it happen.
Why is it happening now?
Because it's time. It's a spiritual time clock.
When did this happen last in history?
Oh my gosh, thousands and thousands of years ago. Do you know, if you look back into the ancient cultures of the Mayans and the Egyptians, those people built fabulous cities and aqueducts and had fabulous high energy, I don't know what to call them, tools that they worked with. And like the stories of Atlantis with the crystals. I mean, we've been around for a long time and we lost our way. Those were awake. Something happened that they fell, and I think that we have come to that place again of evolution, the build-up, and the modern history of mankind is now ready to have kind of a structural fall so we can come up higher. I may be right, I may be wrong.
Who the hell knows?
Oh, God, that's just perfect. I said in the beginning, who the hell knows? Just wait and see. I know I got a hold of my ladder and I'm going to keep climbing.
Yeah. That's so funny. So do you have a mantra for 2019?
Yes, and I say it to myself because we are in these huge changing times. I mean, just look around you. It's nothing like it used to be.
Yeah.
I am always in the right place at the right time doing the right thing.
Why is that your mantra?
Because it's very important for me right now.
Okay.
I'm always in the right place at the right time doing the right thing.
I like that. You know, you might like this. So if something happens, I'm like walking, or I'm walking down the street, or I am in a situation and something not crazy or outlandish happens, but something very subtle, like a leaf just falls right in front of me, or
A book falls off the shelf.
something, or I just something, little leaf or a book or whatever. That is just my reminder, like, right place, right time. Because I wouldn't have seen that if I was anywhere else, and I wouldn't have noticed it if I was in any other kind of mindset. But noticing, like, that little leaf falling, or that little bug that just happens to fly right by, you know, and those are my little reminders, like, you're in the right place at the right time, Lauren.
Yes.
Isn't that
And
cute?
yes, but it's perfect because you're in awareness.
Yeah, it's seeped in awareness. It doesn't happen every day or all the time,
but when it does, it's almost like a little mini miracle, isn't it?
It is, and it's so subtle.
Or a
and
butterfly goes by or lands on you.
Okay, I've had some that's why when I saw what your dad did with the butterflies, butterflies really connect with me, and it's for a few reasons. So when we lived in New York, I actually was in the middle of Times Square, and it wasn't a butterfly, it was actually a dragonfly.
Dragonflies,
Middle of Times Square, a dragonfly landed right on my hand.
Yes.
I mean, there's water, but like water is like 40 blocks that way, 40 blocks the other way, and landed right on my hand. And it's just sat there.
And what did that make you feel like?
I was just in the right place, right time. Just complete peace.
Yes, and that's exactly, butterflies and dragonflies I think are very spiritual insects, if we want to call them that. And they're both about transformation and new things. I was out to lunch this summer with a friend at Twigs, and we were sitting out in the patio up here on the South Hill. And we had just had a walk in Manitou, which I haunt. I love Manitou. It feeds my soul.
Did you say which I haunt?
Yes, I haunted.
You are so funny.
I'm there all the time. So I took her on a walk there with me this Sunday, I think it was. And so then we went to have lunch. We were sitting in the patio, and had been talking about, because we saw a lot of dragonflies that day, very, very close to the rose garden. There were hundreds of them, but they were brown ones. And then once in a while we'd see a flit of a iridescent one go by. And so we were just talking about those beautiful dragonflies that we have seen before. Okay, here comes the most beautiful turquoise colored dragonfly that we had never seen. Such a beautiful jewel of a dragonfly ever in our lives came and perched on the empty chair in front of us and just sat there. Now, what do you think about that?
I think someone was joining you.
So what we were thinking about, talking about, and wishing we could see a brightly colored one, look what we manifested. We called in that dragonfly without even realizing it.
Yeah, and there he was.
Same with you.
Yeah.
And your leaf and your dragonfly.
Yeah.
And butterflies.
I once had a butterfly. I was bent over. You know Tubbs Hill in Coeur d'Alene?
Yes, I do.
I was in Tubbs Hill. I was bent over in a bathing suit, and a butterfly landed right on my butt, between my bathing suit, or between my butt cheeks where my bathing suit is.
I love it.
I am not kidding you. And I was I was with I think my sister and someone else, and they saw it, and they're like, Lauren, there's a dragonfly,
a butterfly.
A butterfly. It's a butterfly. There's a butterfly between your butt cheeks.
Oh, God, that's so funny.
Isn't that so funny? I don't know what it is with these guys.
I don't know either.
P.S. If you have any encounters like us with dragonflies or butterflies, please share them with me. Either direct message me or email me. I would love to hear about it, and I'm sure Joy would too. So what is one place in Spokane that you would suggest people go see, go do?
Manitou Park.
Yeah.
Because it's so beautiful. Every single season is changing. And I think it's very spiritual there. Very spiritual. And I love going into the Japanese garden. And with the water and the trees and the koi fish and just the whole feeling of it. And I love the sign that says in several places, please stay on the path. And that's in the Japanese garden.
That's beautiful. I think we should end it right there.
Okay.
Yeah. Unless there's anything else you want to circle back to.
No, that's it.
Yeah.
What do you think?
I think we could talk so much longer. Cheers to episode 10. That is a wrap. Thank you so much for listening, and thank you to Joy for being on the podcast. If you would like to connect with Joy or have your numbers read, all of Joy's contact information can be found in the show notes. Follow her on Facebook for her weekly numerology reading about world events. Joy's book, Awaken to Agelessness, can be found on Amazon. It's a great read, and what I really like about it is that each chapter is dedicated to another approach to practice agelessness. If you would like to get a deeper look into my personal journey behind episode 10, my experience with getting my numbers read, or a look into Joy's book, Awaken to Agelessness, pop on over to the Yogakane podcast website and find the blog about this week's episode. For next episode, I have been working on something a little different and a little special. Please keep your eye out for that. It will be dropping next week. If you feel called to support the Yogakane podcast, here are a few ways. 1. Subscribe to the podcast on whichever listening platform you're listening on. 2. Leave a review. And please put your name or Instagram name in the review, and I'll give you a shout out. 3. Donate. On the Yogakane website is a place where you can donate to the different expenses that add up to host a podcast. 4. Follow Yogakane on Instagram or Facebook and let's start a dialogue. 5. Email me your questions about yoga. Also, introduce me to yogis within your community that you would like to hear on the podcast. And together we can yoke the beautiful yoga community of the Pacific Northwest. Until next time, let's continue to show compassion to ourselves and to others. This is Mental Health Awareness Month, and there's going to be a lot of healing and self-awareness going on this month. I invite you to be kind to the other humans out there, show compassion, support, and love. And if you're struggling or feel like you are all alone, you are not. I'm here for you. Your community is here for you. Please reach out to a healthcare professional or someone you trust who can help you carry this weight. Namaste and Shanti peace to you and your household.